collection from PLoS 10 Simple Rules for Doing Your Best Research and Others YE54. Paper 1 10 Simple Rules for Doing Your Best Research, according to Hamming. Paper 2 10 Simple Rules for Graduate Students. Paper 3 10 Simple Rules for a Successful Collaboration. Paper 4 10 Simple Rules for Making Good Oral Presentations. Paper 5 10 Simple Rules for a Good Poster Presentation. Paper 6 10 Simple Rules for Aspiring Scientists in a Low-Income Country. Paper 7 10 Simple Rules for Getting Help from Online Scientific Communities. Editorial. Paper 1. 10 Simple Rules for Doing Your Best Research, according to Hamming Thomas CER, REN**, Paul Cullen, Michael Aaron, Philip E. Byrne. This editorial can be considered the preface to the 10 Simple Rules series. 1. 7. The rules presented here are somewhat philosophical and behavioral, rather than concrete suggestions for how to tackle a particular scientific professional activity such as writing a paper or a grant. The thoughts presented are not our own. Rather, we condense and annotate some excellent and timeless suggestions made by the mathematician Richard Hamming 2 decades ago on how to do our ST class research. 8. As far as we know, the transcript of the Bell Communications Research Colloquium Seminar, provided by Dr. Kaiser, 8, was never formally published, so that Dr. Hamming's thoughts are not as widely known as they deserve to be. By distilling these thoughts into something that can be thought of as 10 simple rules, we hope to bring these ideas to broader attention. Hamming's 1986 talk was remarkable. In You and Your Research, he addressed the question, how can scientists do great research, that is, Nobel Prize type work? His insights were based on more than 40 years of research as a pioneer of computer science and telecommunications who had the privilege of interacting with such luminaries as the physicists Richard Feynman, Enrico Fermi, Edward Teller, Robert Oppenheimer, Hans Bethe, and Walter Brattain, with Claude Shannon, the father of information theory, and with the statistician John Tukey. Hamming became very interested in the difference between those who do and those who might have done, and he offered a number of answers to the question why so few scientists make significant contributions, and so many are forgotten in the long run. We have condensed Hamming's talk into the 10 rules listed below. Rule 1. Drop modesty. To quote Hamming, say to yourself, yes, I would like to do our ST class work. Our society frowns on people who set out to do really good work. But you should say to yourself, yes, I would like to do something significant. Rule 2. Prepare your mind. Many think that great science is the result of good luck, but luck is nothing but the marriage of opportunity and preparation. Hamming cites Pasteur's adage that luck favors the prepared mind. Rule 3. Age is important. Einstein did things very early, and all the quantum mechanic fellows, as well as most mathematicians and astrophysicists, were, as Hamming notes, disgustingly young when they did their best work. On the other hand, in the fields of music, politics, and literature, the protagonists often produce what we consider their best work late in life. Rule 4. Brains are not enough. You also need courage. Great scientists have more than just brain power. To again cite Hamming, once you get your courage up and believe that you can do important things, then you can. If you think you can't, almost surely you are not going to. Great scientists will go forward under incredible circumstances. They think and continue to think. Rule 5. Make the best of your working conditions. To paraphrase Hamming, what most people think are the best working conditions clearly are not, because people are often most productive when working conditions are bad. One of the better times of the Cambridge physical laboratories was when they worked practically in shacks. They did some of the best physics ever. By turning the problem around a bit, great scientists often transform an apparent defect into an asset. It is a poor workman who blames his tools. The good man gets on with the job, given what he's got, and gets the best answer he can. Rule 6. Work hard and effectively. Most great scientists have tremendous drive, and most of us would be surprised how much we would know if we worked as hard as some great scientists did for many years. As Hamming says, knowledge and productivity are like compound interest. Given two people with exactly the same ability, the one person who manages day in and day out to get in one more hour of thinking will be tremendously more productive over a lifetime. But, Hamming notes, hard work alone is not enough. It must be applied sensibly. Rule 7. Believe and doubt your hypothesis at the same time. Great scientists tolerate ambiguity. They believe the theory enough to go. Citation, Aaron T.C., Cullen P., Aaron M., Byrne P., 2007. 10 Simple Rules for Doing Your Best Research, according to Hamming. PLoS Compatible 3, 10, E213 doi 10.1371/journal.B00300213. Copyright, 2007 Aaron and others. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Thomas C. Aaron is with the Institute and Polyclinic for Occupational and Social Medicine, School of Medicine and Dentistry, University of Cologne, Köln, Lindenthal, Germany. Paul Cullen is with the Medizinisches Versorgungszentrum für Laboratoriumsmedizin Dr. Lotter, Dr. Treder, Münster, Germany. Michael Aaron is with the Institute of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine, Westphalian Wilhelms University of Münster, Münster, Germany. Philip E. Byrne is a professor in the Department of Pharmacology, University of California San Diego, La Jolla, California, United States of America. To whom correspondence should be addressed. Email, tim.aaron@uni-köln.de. PLoS Computational Biology vertical bar www.ploscompbil.org October 2007 vertical bar volume 3 vertical bar issue 10 vertical bar E213 1839. Ahead, they doubt it enough to notice the errors and faults, so they can step forward and create the new replacement theory. As Hamming says, when you ND apparentors, you've got to be sensitive and keep track of those things and keep an eye out for how they can be explained or how the theory can be changed to tee them. Those are often the great scientific contributions. Rule 8. Work on the important problems in your field. It is surprising, but true that the average scientist spends almost all his time working on problems that he believes not to be important and not to be likely to lead to important results. By contrast, those seeking to do great work must ask, what are the important problems of my field? What important problems am I working on? Hamming again, it's that simple. If you want to do great work, you clearly must work on important problems. I nearly adopted what I called "great thoughts time." When I went to lunch Friday noon, I would only discuss great thoughts after that. By great thoughts I mean ones like, what will be the impact of computers on science, and how can I change it? Rule 9. Be committed to your problem. Scientists who are not fully committed to their problem seldom produce ST class work. To a large extent, creativity comes out of the subconscious. If you are deeply immersed in and committed to a topic, day after day, your subconscious has nothing to do but work on your problem. Hamming says it best, so the way to manage yourself is that when you have a real important problem you don't let anything else get the center of your attention. You keep your thoughts on the problem. Keep your subconscious starved, so it has to work on your problem, so you can sleep peacefully and get the answer in the morning. 3. Rule 10. Leave your door open. Keeping the door to your office closed makes you more productive in the short term. But 10 years later, somehow you may not quite know what problems are worth working on, and all the hard work you do will be sort of tangential in importance. He or she who leaves the door open gets all kinds of interruptions, but he or she also occasionally gets clues as to what the world is and what might be important. Again, Hamming deserves to be quoted verbatim. There is a pretty good correlation between those who work with the doors open and those who ultimately do important things, although people who work with doors closed often work harder. Somehow they seem to work on slightly the wrong thing, not much, but enough that they miss fame. In our view, rule the 10th may be the key to getting the best research done, because it will help you to obey rules 1 to 9, and, most importantly, it will foster group creativity. 9. A discussion over lunch with your colleagues is often worth much more than a trip to the library. However, when choosing your lunchmates, and, by implication, your institution, be on your toes. As Hamming says, when you talk to other people, you want to get rid of those sound absorbers who are nice people, but merely say back "oh yes," and to ND those who will stimulate you right back. Paper 2. 10 Simple Rules for Graduate Students. Jenny Gu, Philip E. Bourne *. See who's in to go to graduate. School is a major life decision. Whether you have already made that decision or are about to, now it is time to consider how best to be a successful graduate student. Here are some thoughts from someone who holds these memories fresh in her mind, JG, and from someone who has had a whole career to react back on the decisions made in graduate school, both good and bad. Peb. These thoughts taken together, from former student and mentor, represent experiences spanning some 25 or more years. For ease, these experiences are presented as 10 simple rules, in approximate order of priority as done by a number of graduate students we have consulted here in the US, but we hope the rules are more globally applicable, even though length, method of evaluation, and institutional structure of graduate education varies widely. These rules are intended as a companion to earlier editorials covering other areas of professional development. 7. Rule 1. Let passion be the driving force of your successes. With so many other things in life, your heart and then your head should dictate what thesis project makes sense to embark on. Doing your best work requires that you are passionate about what you are doing. Graduate school is an investment of up to a 7-year commitment, a significant chunk of your life. Use the time wisely. The educational system provides a variety of fail-safe mechanisms depending on the part of the world where you study. Laboratory rotations and other forms of apprenticeship should not be overlooked, for they are opportunities to test the waters and measure your passion in a given subject area. It is also a chance to test your aptitude for research. Take advantage of it. Research is very different from simply taking courses. If you do not feel excited about doing research and the project selected, do not do it. Reevaluate your career decisions. Rule 2. Select the right mentor. Project and laboratory. Finding the right mentor can be hard, since it is not always possible to know the kind of mentoring that is going to work best for you until you actually start doing research. Some of us like to work independently, others like significant feedback and supervision. Talk to other students in the laboratory and get their impressions of how the principal investigator's mentoring works for them. In a large laboratory, chances are you will get less direct mentoring from the principal investigator. In that case, other senior scientists in the laboratory become important. What mentoring are they likely to offer? Judge, as best you can, if the overall environment will work for you. A key element is the standing of your mentor in his or her field. When you graduate, the laboratory you graduate from is going to play a role in determining what opportunities exist for your postdoctoral work, either in academia, industry, or other sectors. Your proposed mentor should be very enthusiastic about the project you discuss. If he or she is not, you have the wrong mentor and/or project. At the same time, beware that such enthusiasm, however senior the mentor, may be misplaced as far as your interests are concerned. Gauge the novelty of the research project and potential for high-quality publications by doing your own background check through reading previously published research and talking to other scientists in related areas. Also consider if the project can be reasonably completed in the allocated time for graduation. To propel your career, you want to come out of a higher degree as a recognized individual having made a significant scientific contribution. Thus, it is absolutely critical that you do take the time to enter the project and mentor that is going to fill this goal. Rule 3. Independent thinking is a mark of a true scientist regardless of your initial work habits and how much you depend on your mentor. Rule 2. Eventually you will have to be more independent than when you started graduate school. The earlier you start on that path to independence, the better. Independence will play a critical part in your career as an innovative scientist. As much as possible do your own research project with a view to make a significant and unique scientific contribution. Rule 4. Remember, life is all about balance. Take the time to meet your own needs. Graduate school is highly demanding, both mentally and physically. Your health comes a rest. Spend the time being healthy or else you might end yourself spending more time being sick. Hard work should be balanced with other activities that you enjoy and give you a break. These activities can often become important in your future scientific career. Collaborations sometimes start not because of a shared scientific interest initially, but because you share the same hobby or other interest. Rule 5. Think ahead and develop your professional career early. There are two parts to this. The RST part relates to professional development. Being a successful scientist is more involved than just doing good science. You need to be able to write good papers, submit compelling scholarship and grant applications, make powerful. Citation, Gouget, Bernpe, 2007, 10 Simple Rules for Graduate Students. PLoS Compatibile 3, 11, E229, 10. 1371/journal.B0030229 Copyright, 2007 Gu & Bern. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Jenny Gu is with the University of Texas, Medical Branch, Galveston, Texas, United States of America. Philip E. Bern is with the University of California San Diego, La Jolla, California, United States of America. Asterisk to whom correspondence should be addressed. Email, bern@sdsc.edu. PLoS Computational Biology vertical bar www.pluscompbil.org November 2007 vertical bar volume 3 vertical bar issue 11 vertical bar E229 2045. Presentations, and communicate and collaborate with other researchers. The other 10 simple rules editorials are a start here. 1. 7. But you need to work on developing these skills at the same time as you work on your thesis. The second part involves using these emergent skills to figure out what to do with a higher postgraduate degree. Do not wait until you graduate to take the next step. Have a position and a fellowship, if possible, lined up ahead of time. Rule 6. Remain focused on your hypothesis, while avoiding being held back. Formulation of the hypothesis is the RST thing you'll learn in Science 101, and yet somehow it seems to get occasionally thrown out the window. When you enter yourself lost in the details of your research, take a step back, and remind yourself of the big picture. Revalidate your hypothesis from time to time to see if it still makes sense, because you may yourself needing Ganon. Always keep this in mind in discussions with your mentor. As you have these discussions, remember you are cheap labor, and, if you are a good student, a source of success to your mentor. The temptation is that your mentor will want to keep you around as long as possible. Deem the scope of your project early with your mentor, and agree that this is what you will attempt to complete in order to receive the degree. A career awaits beyond the laboratory of your graduate student days. Do not prolong moving on to new challenges. Rule 7. Address problems earlier rather than later. If graduate school wasn't quite what you thought it would be it scientifically or otherwise, find out what your options are to address the problem. Discuss these problems with your mentors. A good mentor is there, not just to guide you scientifically, but also in your personal development. Remember, they have been there themselves, and have likely seen similar issues with earlier students. Take time off to react on your future if this is needed. A good mentor will understand that you come RST. Rule 8. Share your scientific success with the world. Being recognized by your peers as someone who does good science is important both within your institution, nationally, and internationally. When opportunities arise to give seminars and presentations to other groups, take them. Before starting with a mentor, come to an agreement as to when and what meetings you can attend locally and globally. Scientific meetings are a fun and fruitful venue for exchange. Be sure to venture beyond the comfort zone of familiar faces, because it is important to meet other colleagues in your field. These people may become your future collaborators, friends, advocates, and employers. Rule 9. Build confidence and a thick skin as you pave the road to scientific fame. With Rule 8. Expect your work to be criticized and scoffed at, for that is part of the scientific process of challenging new ideas. The best way to build self-confidence for these otherwise defensive moments is to be prepared, and to present your work clearly with a confident display of your expansive knowledge base of the relevant related work. Do not be intimidated by big names who question your work. Counter knowledge with knowledge. Another reason to have a thick skin is that the path to success will not be without setbacks such as experiments that fail, and experiments that succeed, but do not yield a useful result, causing you to have wasted significant time. Undergraduate training is usually much more structured, and does not prepare you for such setbacks. Learn as much as you can from these situations, both about the science and yourself, and move on. Rule 10. Help select and subsequently engage your thesis committee. This rule depends somewhat on how your institution is structured. Some institutions do not convene a thesis committee until near the end of your work. For those institutions that require a thesis committee to be convened early, talk with your mentor and be involved in the selection process. The committee is there to work for you as secondary mentors. Consider people whose own research experience will be valuable to you, or who have a reputation for ongoing mentoring in all areas of professional development. Make a point of talking to members of the committee from time to time and keep them abreast of what you are doing. On occasion, you and your primary mentor may have disagreements. Committee members can be invaluable here. And Paper 3. Editorial. 10 Simple Rules for a Successful Collaboration. Quentin Weissens, Philip E. Bourne**. Scientific research has always been a collaborative undertaking, and this is particularly true today. For example, between 1981 and 2001, the average number of co-authors on a paper for the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences USA rose from 3.9 to 8.41. Why the increase? Biology has always been considered the study of living systems. Many of us now think of it as a study of complex systems. Understanding this complexity requires experts in many different domains. In short, these days success in being a biologist depends more on one's ability to collaborate than ever before. The medical research centers in the United Kingdom figured this out long ago, and the new Genelia Farm Research Campus of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute in the United States has got the idea, as it strongly promotes intra- and inter-institutional collaborations too. Given that collaboration is crucial, how do you go about picking the right collaborators, and how can you best make the collaboration work? Here are 10 simple rules, based on our experience, that we hope will help. Additional suggestions can be found in the references. 3,4 right square bracket. Above all, keep in mind that these rules are for both you and your collaborators. Always remember to treat your collaborators as you would want to be treated yourself. Empathy is key. Rule 1. Do not be lured into just any collaboration. Learn to say no, even if it is to an attractive grant that would involve significant amounts of money, and/or if it is a collaboration with someone more established and well known. It is easier to say no at the beginning. The longer an ill-fated collaboration drags on, the harder it is to sever, and the worse it will be in the end. Enter a collaboration because of a shared passion for the science, not just because you think getting that grant or working with this person would look good on your curriculum vitae. Attending meetings is a perfect opportunity to interact with people who have shared interests. 5. Take time to consider all aspects of the potential collaboration. Ask yourself, will this collaboration really make a difference in my research? Does this grant constitute a valid motivation to seek out that collaboration? Do I have the expertise required to tackle the proposed tasks? What priority will this teamwork have for me? Will I be able to deliver on time? If the answer is no for even one of these questions, the collaboration could be ill-fated. Enter a collaboration because of a shared passion for the science. Rule 2. Decide at the beginning who will work on what tasks. Carefully establishing the purpose of the collaboration and delegating responsibilities is priceless. Often the collaboration will be ended by a grant. In that case, revisit the specific aims regularly and be sure the respective responsibilities are being met. Otherwise, consider writing a memo of understanding, or, if that is too formal, at least an email about who is responsible for what. Given the delegation of tasks, discuss expectations for authorship early in the work. Having said that, leave room for evolution over the course of the collaboration. New ideas will arise. Have a mutual understanding upfront such that these ideas can be embraced as an extension of the original collaboration. Discuss adjustments to the timelines and the order of authors on the now published paper, accordingly. In any case, be comfortable with the anticipated credit you will get from the work. The history of science is littered with stories of unacknowledged contributions. Rule 3. Stick to your tasks. Scientific research is such that every answered question begs a number of new questions to be answered. Do not digress into these new questions without discussing them with your collaborators. Do not change your initial plans without discussing the change with your collaborators. Thinking they will be pleased with your new approach or innovation is often misplaced and can lead to connect. Rule 4. Be open and honest. Share data, protocols, materials, etc., and make papers accessible prior to publication. Remain available. A trusting relationship is important for the collaborative understanding of the problem being tackled, and for the subsequent joint thinking throughout the evolution of the collaboration. Rule 5. Feel respect. Get respect. If you do not have respect for the scenic work of your collaborators, you should definitely not be collaborating. Respect here especially means playing by rules 224. If you do not respect your collaborators, it will show. Likewise, if they don't respect you, look for the signs. The signs will depend on the personality of your citation. Q. Bernpe, 2007. 10 Simple Rules for a Successful Collaboration. PLoS Compatible 3, YE54 DOI 10.1371/journal.B00300044. Copyright 2007 Weissens and Bern. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Quentin Weissens is a Howard Hughes Medical Institute Fellow at the University of Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, United States of America. Philip E. Bern is the editor-in-chief of PLoS Computational Biology. * to whom correspondence should be addressed. Email, bern@sdsc.edu. PLoS Computational Biology www.pluscompbil.org March 2007 Volume 3 Issue 3 E44 0335. Collaborators and range from being aggressive to being passive aggressive. For example, getting your tasks done in a timely manner should be your priority. There is nothing more frustrating for your collaborators than to have to throttle their progress while they are waiting for you to send them your data. Showing respect would be to inform your collaborator when you cannot make a previously agreed upon deadline, so that other arrangements can be made. Rule 6. Communicate. Communicate, and communicate. Consistent communication with your collaborators is the best way to make sure the partnership is going in the planned direction. Nothing new here. It is the same as for friendship and marriage. Communication is always better face to face if possible. For example, by traveling to meet your collaborators, or by scheduling discussion related to your collaborations during conferences that the people involved will attend. Synchronous communication by telephone or video teleconferencing is preferred over asynchronous collaboration by email. Data could be exchanged by email prior to a call, so that everyone can refer to the data while talking. Rule 7. Protect yourself from a collaboration that turns sour. The excitement of a new collaboration can often quickly dissipate as the hurdles to any new project appear. The direct consequence can be a progressive lack of interest and focus to get the job done. To avoid the subsequent frustrations and resentment that could even impact your work in general, give 3 chances to your collaborators to get back on track. After all, your collaborators could just be having a difficult time for reasons outside of their control and unanticipated at the time the collaboration started. After 3 chances, if it feels like the collaboration cannot be saved, move on. At that point, try to minimize the role of your collaborators in your work. Think carefully about the most basic help you need from them, and get it while you can. For instance, when having a phone call, or a meeting in person, you may still need to deal with the co-authorship, but hopefully for one paper only. Rule 8. Always acknowledge and cite your collaborators. This applies as soon as you mention preliminary results. Be clear on who undertook what aspect of the work being reported. Additionally, citing your collaborators can reveal your dynamism and your skills at developing prosperous professional relationships. This skill will be valued by your peers throughout your career. Rule 9. Seek advice from experienced scientists. Even though you may not encounter severe difficulties that would result in the failure of the partnership, each collaboration will come with a particular set of challenges. To overcome these obstacles, interact with colleagues not involved in the work, such as your former advisors or professors in your department, who have probably been through all kinds of collaborations. They will offer insightful advice that will help you move beyond the current crisis. Remember, however, that a crisis can occasionally lead to a breakthrough. Do not, therefore, give up on the collaboration too easily. Rule 10. If your collaboration satisfies you, keep it going. Ever wondered why a pair of authors has published so many papers together? Well, it is like any good recipe. When you end one that works, you cook it again and again. Successful teamwork will tend to keep polishing their RST paper will stimulate deeper and or broader studies that will in turn lead to more papers. As you get to know your collaborators, you begin to understand work habits, strengths but also weaknesses, as well as respective areas of knowledge. Accepting these things and working together can make the work advance rapidly, but do not hurry. It takes time and effort from both sides to get to this point. Collaborations often come unexpectedly, just like this one. One of us, Peb, as editor-in-chief was approached, not just with the idea for these 10 rules, but with a draft set of rules that needed only minor reworking. As you can see, we have obeyed Rule 8. And Paper 4. Editorial. 10 Simple Rules for Making Good Oral Presentations. Philip E. Byrne. See continuing our 10 Simple Rules series. 1. 5. We consider here what it takes to make a good oral presentation. While the rules apply broadly across disciplines, they are certainly important from the perspective of this readership. Clear and logical delivery of your ideas and scenetic results is an important component of a successful scenetic career. Presentations encourage broader dissemination of your work and highlight work that may not receive attention in written form. Rule 1. Talk to the audience. We do not mean face the audience, although gaining eye contact with as many people as possible when you present is important since it adds a level of intimacy and comfort to the presentation. We mean prepare presentations that address the target audience. Be sure you know who your audience is, what are their backgrounds and knowledge level of the material you are presenting, and what they are hoping to get out of the presentation. Off-topic presentations are usually boring and will not endear you to the audience. Deliver what the audience wants to hear. Rule 2. Less is more. A common mistake of inexperienced presenters is to try to say too much. They feel the need to prove themselves by proving to the audience that they know a lot. As a result, the main message is often lost, and valuable question time is usually curtailed. Your knowledge of the subject is best expressed through a clear and concise presentation that is provocative and leads to a dialogue during the question and answer session, when the audience becomes active participants. At that point, your knowledge of the material will likely become clear. If you do not get any questions, then you have not been following the other rules. Most likely, your presentation was either incomprehensible or trite. A side effect of too much material is that you talk too quickly, another ingredient of a lost message. Rule 3. Only talk when you have something to say. Do not be overzealous about what you think you will have available to present when the time comes. Research never goes as fast as you would like. Remember, the audience's time is precious and should not be abused by presentation of uninteresting preliminary material. Rule 4. Make the take-home message persistent. A good rule of thumb would seem to be that if you ask a member of the audience a week later about your presentation, they should be able to remember 3 points. If these are the key points you were trying to get across, you have done a good job. If they can remember any 3 points, but not the key points, then your emphasis was wrong. It is obvious what it means if they cannot recall 3 points. Rule 5. Be logical. Think of the presentation as a story. There is a logical clear beginning, middle, and an end. You set the stage, beginning, you tell the story, middle, and you have a big niche, the end, where the take-home message is clearly understood. Rule 6. Treat the floor as a stage. Presentation should be entertaining, but do not overdo it, and do know your limits. If you are not humorous by nature, do not try and be humorous. If you are not good at telling anecdotes, do not try and tell anecdotes, and so on. A good entertainer will captivate the audience and increase the likelihood of obeying Rule 4. Rule 7. Practice and time your presentation. This is particularly important for inexperienced presenters. Even more important, when you give the presentation, stick to what you practice. It is common to deviate, and even worse to start presenting material that you know less about than the audience does. The more you practice, the less likely you will be to go off on tangents. Visual cues help here. The more presentations you give, the better you are going to get. In a scenic environment, take every opportunity to do journal club and become a teaching assistant if it allows you to present. An important talk should not be given for the RST time to an audience of peers. You should have delivered it to your research collaborators who will be kinder and gentler, but still point out obvious discrepancies. Laboratory group meetings are a northeast forum for this. Rule 8. Use visuals sparingly but effectively. Presenters have different styles of presenting. Some can captivate the audience with no visuals, rare. Others require visual cues and in addition, depending on the material, may not be able to present a particular topic well without the appropriate visuals such as graphs and charts. Preparing good visual materials will be the subject of a further 10 simple rules. Rule 7 will. Citation, Burnpe, 2007. 10 simple rules for making good oral presentations. PLoS Compatible 3, 4, YE54 DOI 10.1371/journal.B00300077. Copyright, 2007 Philip E. Byrne. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Dr. Philip E. Byrne is a professor in the Department of Pharmacology, University of California San Diego, La Jolla, California, United States of America. Email, byrne@sdsc.edu. PLoS Computational Biology www.pluscompbil.org April 2007 Volume 3 Issue 4 YE77 0593. Help you to deem the right number of visuals for a particular presentation. A useful rule of thumb for us is, if you have more than one visual for each minute you are talking, you have too many, and you will run over time. Obviously some visuals are quick, others take time to get the message across. Again, rule 7 will help. Avoid reading the visual, unless you wish to emphasize the point explicitly. The audience can read too. The visual should support what you are saying either for emphasis, or with data to prove the verbal point. Finally, do not overload the visual. Make the points few and clear. Rule 9. Review audio and/or video of your presentations. There is nothing more effective than listening to and viewing a presentation you have made. Violations of the other rules will become obvious. Seeing what is wrong is easy. Correcting it the next time around is not. You will likely need to break bad habits that lead to the violation of the other rules. Work hard on breaking bad habits. It is important. Rule 10. Provide appropriate acknowledgements. People love to be acknowledged for their contributions. Having many gratuitous acknowledgements degrades the people who actually contributed. If you defy Rule 7, then you will not be able to acknowledge people and organizations appropriately, as you will run out of time. It is often appropriate to acknowledge people at the beginning, or at the point of their contribution, so that their contributions are very clear. As in our word of caution, we have found that even in following the 10 simple rules, or perhaps thinking we are following them, the outcome of a presentation is not always guaranteed. Audience presenter dynamics are hard to predict, even though the metric of depth and intensity of questions and offline follow-up provide excellent indicators. Sometimes you are sure a presentation will go well, and afterward you feel it did not go well. Other times you dread what the audience will think, and you come away pleased as punch. Such is life. As always, we welcome your comments on these 10 simple rules by reader response. Paper 5. Editorial. 10 Simple Rules for a Good Poster Presentation. Thomas Cer. Ren**. Philip E. Byrne. Posters are a key component of communicating your science and an important element in a successful scientific career. Posters, while delivering the same high-quality science, offer a different medium from either oral presentations, 1, or published papers, 2, and should be treated accordingly. Posters should be considered a snapshot of your work intended to engage colleagues in a dialogue about the work, or, if you are not present, to be a summary that will encourage the reader to want to learn more. Many a lifelong collaboration, free, has begun in front of a poster board. Here are 10 simple rules for maximizing the return on the time-consuming process of preparing and presenting an effective poster. Rule 1. Define the purpose. The purpose will vary depending on the status and nature of the work being presented, as well as the intent. Some posters are designed to be used again and again, for example, those making conference attendees aware of a shared resource. Others will likely be used once at a conference, and then be relegated to the wall in the laboratory. Before you start preparing the poster, ask yourself the following questions. What do you want the person passing by your poster to do? engage in a discussion about the content, learn enough to go off and want to try something for themselves, want to collaborate, all the above, or none of the above but something else. Style your poster accordingly. Rule 2. Sell your work in 10 seconds. Some conferences will present hundreds of posters. You will need to GHT for attention. The RST impressions of your poster, and to a lesser extent, what you might say when standing in front of it, are crucial. It is analogous to being in an elevator and having a few seconds to pique someone's interest before they get off. The sad truth is that you have to sell your work. One approach is to pose your work as addressing a decisive question, which you then address as best you can. Once you have posed the question, which may well also be the motivation for the study, the focus of your poster should be on addressing that question in a clear and concise way. Rule 3. The title is important. The title is a good way to sell your work. It may be the only thing the conference attendee sees before they reach your poster. The title should make them want to come and visit. The title might pose a decisive question, deem the scope of the study, or hint at a new ending. Above all, the title should be short and comprehensible to a broad audience. The title is your equivalent of a newspaper headline: short, sharp, and compelling. Rule 4. Poster acceptance means nothing. Do not take the acceptance of a poster as an endorsement of your work. Conferences need attendees to be financially viable. Many attendees who are there on grants cannot justify attending a conference unless they present. There are a small number of speaking slots compared with attendees. How to solve the dilemma? Enter posters. This way everyone can present. In other words, your poster has not been endorsed, just accepted. To get endorsement from your peers, do good science and present it well on the poster. Rule 5. Many of the rules for writing a good paper apply to posters. To identify your audience and provide the appropriate scope and depth of content. If the conference includes non-specialists, cater to them. Just as the abstract of a paper needs to be a succinct summary of the motivation, hypothesis to be tested, major results, and conclusions, so does your poster. Rule 6. Good posters have unique features not pertinent to papers. The amount of material presented in a paper far outweighs what is presented on a poster. A poster requires you to distill the work, yet not lose the message or the logical now. Posters need to be viewed from a distance, but can take advantage of your presence. Posters can be used as a distribution medium for copies of associated papers, supplementary information, and other handouts. Posters allow you to be more speculative. Often only the titles, or at most the abstracts of posters, can be considered published, that is, widely distributed. Mostly, they may never be seen again. There is the opportunity to say more than you would in the traditional literature, which for all intents and purposes will be part of the immutable record. Take advantage of these unique features. Rule 7. Layout and format are critical. Pop musician Keith Richards put the matter well in an interview with Der Spiegel. 4. If you are a painter, then the most important thing is the bare canvas. A good painter will never cover all the space, but will always leave some. Citation: Aaron T.C. Burnpet, 2007. 10 Simple Rules for a Good Poster Presentation. PLoS Compatible 3, 5, E102 DOI 10.1371/journal.B003010 to copyright, 2007 Aaron and Byrne. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Thomas C. Aaron is with the Institute and Polyclinic for Occupational and Social Medicine, School of Medicine and Dentistry, University of Cologne, Lindenthal, Germany. Philip E. Byrne is a professor in the Department of Pharmacology, University of California San Diego, La Jolla, California, United States of America. Asterisk to whom correspondence should be addressed. Email, tim.aaron@uni-colon.de. PLoS Computational Biology Vertical bar www.pluscompbil.org May 2007 Vertical bar Volume 3 Vertical bar Issue 5 Vertical bar E102 0777 blank. My canvas is silence. Your canvas as poster presenter is also white space. Guide the passerby's eyes from one succinct frame to another in a logical fashion from beginning to end. Unlike the literature, which is linear by virtue of one page following another, the reader of a poster is free to wander over the pages, as if they are tacked to the poster board in a random order. Guide the reader with arrows, numbering, or whatever else makes sense, in getting them to move from one logical step to another. Try to do this guiding in an unusual and eye-catching way. Look for appropriate layouts in the posters of others, and adopt some of their approaches. Finally, never use less than a size 24-point font, and make sure the main points can be read at eye level. Rule 8. Content is important, but keep it concise. Everything on the poster should help convey the message. The text must conform to the norms of sound scenetic reporting, clarity, precision of expression, and economy of words. The latter is particularly important for posters, because of their inherent space limitations. Use of restricted pictorial material to illustrate a poster can sometimes transform what would otherwise be a bewildering mass of complex data into a coherent and convincing story. One carefully produced chart or graph often says more than hundreds of words. Use graphics for clear portrayal of complexity. 5. Not to impress, and possibly bewilder, viewers with complex artistry. Allow a gear to be viewed in both a superficial and a detailed way. For example, a large table might have bold swaths of color indicating relative contributions from different categories, and the smaller text in the table would provide gritty details for those who want them. Likewise, a graph could provide a bold trend line, with its interpretation clearly and concisely stated, and also have many detailed points with error bars. Have a clear and obvious set of conclusions after the abstract. This is where the passerby's eyes will wander. Only then will they go to the results, followed by the methods. Rule 9. Posters should have your personality. A poster is a different medium from a paper, which is conventionally dry and impersonal. Think of your poster as an extension of your personality. Use it to draw the passerby to take a closer look or to want to talk to you. Scenic collaboration often starts for reasons other than the shared scenic interest, such as a personal interest. A photo of you on the poster not only helps someone ND you at the conference when you are not at the poster, it can also be used to illustrate a hobby or an interest that can open a conversation. Rule 10. The impact of a poster happens both during and after the poster session when the considerable effort of making a poster is done. Do not blow it on presentation day by failing to have the poster achieve maximum impact. This requires the right presenter-audience interaction. Work to get a crowd by being engaging. One engaged viewer will attract others. Don't badger people, let them read. Be ready with rule 2. Work all the audience at once. Do not leave visitors waiting for your attention. Make eye contact with every visitor. Make it easy for a conference attendee to contact you afterward. Have copies of relevant papers on hand as well as copies of the poster on standard sized paper. For work that is more mature, have the poster online and make the URL available as a handout. Have your email and other demographics clearly displayed. Follow up with people who come to the poster by having a sign-up sheet. The visitor is more likely to remember you than the content of your poster. Make yourself easy to remember. As the host of the work presented on the poster, be attentive, open, and curious, and self-confident but never arrogant and aggressive. Leave the visitor space and time. They can travel through your poster at their own discretion and pace. If a visitor asks a question, talk simply and openly about the work. This is likely your opportunity to get feedback on the work before it goes to publication. Better to be tripped up in front of your poster than by a reviewer of the manuscript. Good posters and their presentations can improve your reputation, both within and outside your working group and institution, and may also contribute to a certain scenic freedom. Poster prizes count when peers look at your resume. These 10 rules will hopefully help you in preparing better posters. For a more humorous view on what not to do in preparing a poster, see 6, and for further information, including the opportunity to practice your German, see 7, and Paper 6. Editorial. 10 Simple Rules for Aspiring Scientists in a Low-Income Country. Ijado Marino 1. Jos Mera Gutierrez 2. 1 Programa de Investigación en Enfermedades Tropicales. Escuela de Medicina Veterinaria. Universidad Nacional. Heredia, Costa Rica. 2 Instituto Clodomiro Picado. Facultad de Microbiología. Universidad de Costa Rica. San Jose, Costa Rica. Being a scientist entails a common set of characteristics. admiring nature and having concern for social issues, possessing a strong academic background, teamwork abilities, honesty, discipline, skepticism, communication skills, competitiveness, ability to accept and give criticism, and productive relationships are some of the most obvious traits that scientists should have. To be a scientist in a low-income country, like, however, requires a complementary set of qualities that are necessary to confront the drawbacks that work against the development of science. The failure of many young researchers to mature as professional scientists upon their return to their country from advanced training elsewhere motivated us to propose these 10 rules. Rule 1. Understand your country. Most lick scientists want to live in their home country. Nevertheless, you must be realistic and prepared to face rudimentary laboratories, power cuts, poor water supply, deficient libraries, slow internet, and scarce or non-existent national funds for supporting research, hiring personnel, and providing maintenance or equipment. You must understand that science is a minor component of the cultural environment of an lick, and that, for most people and many politicians, science is a curiosity performed in high-income countries. 1. Within this adverse scenario, you should establish broad and strong links with your community and country. This involves becoming interested in historical, social, and political issues. Lick researchers have to enjoy the idiosyncrasies of their country and cultivate the desire to contribute to the scientific development of their homeland and to the well-being of its people. Do not endorse deep doubts about the possibilities of performing research. It can be done, but not alone. Try to join efforts with other investigators facing the same problems. Learn how they sidetrack difficulties and incorporate yourself into a research team. If you are not able to find a group that fits your specific interest, then procure a group of researchers who, although investigating topics marginal to your own, are capable of understanding the relevance of your work. At the initial phases of your career, belonging to a creative scientific environment in which your knowledge and skills are appreciated is of major importance. Be part of a team before trying to lead one. Rule 2. Focus on your scientific work. Your formal education has finished, but your scientific career is just beginning. Research should be your main professional activity. Consider that you may be the country's only specialist in a particular topic, but keep in mind that science is global. You are a small fish in a big pond and part of an international community. Grow within this global context. Concentrate on your work and do not pay attention to flattering comments. Above all, keep away from activities that distract you from scientific endeavor, such as excessive administrative duties and too many committees. Limit the number of meetings and attend only the relevant ones. Even though you are well prepared, modestly declare yourself as ignorant in topics that may distract you and fight against excessive lecturing. However, participate in graduate programs and seminars. This is the right environment for the promotion of academic knowledge and skills. Rule 3. Be wise when selecting your research topic. Licks face many problems that await creative solutions. Bizarre as it sounds, you can turn this into an advantage since these same problems constitute excellent sources for research and offer comparative advantages. Try to choose a topic that is not directly pursued by many or strong international research teams. At the beginning of your career, you cannot compete with them, and your efforts may be frustrated. Identify the potential bottlenecks. Remember that in licks research time runs slower, and that good science is not so much related to the subject as to the answers you extract from your investigations. Frequently, local models become universal once a coherent story is built around them. Become an expert and, simultaneously, broaden your knowledge in collateral areas that may open new possibilities. Rule 4. Improve your communication skills. English is the language of natural sciences, and you cannot avoid this fact. Consequently, you should be proficient in this language. The international scientific community is lenient about strong accents. However, the same community does not tolerate poor writing. Thus, writing skills are essential, since research begins with written proposals. 2. And does not end until your results have been published. 3. You, more than native English speakers, must practice your oral presentations. 4. Rule 5. Collaborate locally and internationally. Collaboration is essential for the advancement of science. Although this holds true for any researcher in the world. 5. It is crucial for lick investigators. Identify local groups who share your scientific. Citation: Marino E. Gutierrez J.M. 2008. 10 Simple Rules for Aspiring Scientists in a Low-Income Country. PLoS Compatibile 4, 5, E1024 doi 10.1371/journal.b 1024 published May 30th, 2008 Copyright 2008 Marino, Gutierrez. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Funding: no funding was received for the work presented. Competing interests: the authors have declared that no competing interests exist. Email: imrino@medvet.unap.ac.cr. PLoS Computational Biology Vertical bar www.ploscompbil.org. The 1st of May 2008 Vertical bar Volume 4 Vertical bar Issue 5 Vertical bar E1024. Interest: have equipment, or perform activities or techniques that are useful for your research. Keep in touch with your former tutor and colleagues, and explore new collaborations abroad. Do not be shy about requesting help, and offer something that attracts the attention of your counterparts. Attend international meetings and present your work. Research is, in a way, a trade market of ideas, methods, and goods. Travel and visit research institutions. If some experiments cannot be carried out in your country, arrange to perform them abroad, or convince people to do them for you. There are international funds available for this purpose. Rule 6. Commit yourself to the education of young scientists. Like researchers should participate in graduate training programs, since this is the best way to build a strong scientific community. It is also a way to identify good young students and potential partners. Carefully choose the subjects for your students, pondering the possibilities of your research center, and be realistic about what they can achieve, and the tasks you are imposing on them. Upgrade your students' education by sending them abroad for seminars and for learning specific methodologies. http://iscbsc.org/scs3/index.htm. There are international fellowships for this purpose. http://www.tuas.org/. Be strict but generous with your students and colleagues, and, whenever possible, share your facilities and knowledge. Do not be self-centered. Promoting the success of others is also a way to promote your own success. Rule 7. Write research grants and publish in international journals. Scientific amateurism is common in LICs. Science is not a hobby, but a professional activity that requires strong commitment. Inform yourself about local and international granting agencies, and apply for money too. There are international agencies and programs that provide grant and travel funds for LIC investigators, for instance, TWAS, ICE, EU, NE, etc. Although funds are limited, they will help you to build your scientific career. Incorporate yourself into international consortia. They may find your ideas and resources interesting. If you do not have access to essential publications, send requests to authors, editors, or colleagues abroad. Avoid publishing your results in magazines or low-quality journals, and instead submit your work to international journals. Do not overestimate or underestimate your work. Be realistic when choosing a suitable journal. 3. And, above all, do not be overly frustrated when grants or papers are rejected. Instead, use the experience as a source of learning. Even though some reviewers may undervalue research performed in LICs, most of them pay more attention to the results and ideas than to nationality. 6. Rule 8. Develop endurance when confronting difficulties. It is understandable that the limitations of performing research in LICs sometimes weaken your enthusiasm. Remain calm and try to identify the source of the problem. Avoid complaining excessively in front of students, colleagues, or your partners abroad. A negative attitude is contagious, lowers your prestige, and has the tendency to attract unproductive people. Share your problems with other local scientists, and confront them as a team. You should cultivate your abilities to find alternative solutions, as well as skills to improvise, and to persuade people. Rule 9. Educate yourself as a professional scientist. To be a specialist in an LIC is not enough. Be aware that the scientific Community NNLIC is in short supply and lacks redundancy. In order to confront the drawbacks and deficiencies of the system, you must acquire a wide scientific knowledge and become a well-educated person in a broad sense. In addition to helping the quality of your research, this will give you the credentials to participate in political decisions related to science, to promote your ideas, and to spread scientific knowledge in your country. Acquaint yourself with local and international trends related to scientific performance, and keep track of the major breakthroughs in science. Give talks and write about science whenever you consider it pertinent, but without diverting your attention too much from your main scientific duties. Rule 10. Appreciate being a scientist. As most scientists from high-income countries, and from LICs know, we are prone to facing economic difficulties at the beginning of our careers. Generally, salaries for scientists are comparatively low. Nevertheless, in time scientists can achieve a satisfying income. Furthermore, there are compensations, especially if you become a successful scientist. A sense of achievement and contribution to your community, prestige, travel, meeting interesting people, and consulting opportunities are some of them, but nothing is more rewarding than the intellectual stimulation of science itself. This was your original motivation. Nourish it with more and better science. Paper 7. Editorial. 10 Simple Rules for Getting Help from Online Scientific Communities. Giovanni M. Dallaglio 1 Jacopo Mirano 2, Michael Schubert 3, Kevin L. Keys 1, Melanie I. Stefan 4, Colin S. Gillespie 5, Pierre Paulin 6, 7, 8, Kada Shamir 9, 10, Robert Sugar 3, Brandon M. and Virgo 1, Lars J. Jensen 11, Jorn Bertrand Petit 1, Hafid Laouni 1 Institute of Evolutionary Biology, UPF-XIC, Departament de Ciencias Experimentals y de la Salud. Barcelona, Spain, 2 Institute of Organic Chemistry Universität Zurich, Zurich, Switzerland, 3 EMBLEB, Wellcome Trust Genome Campus, Kingston, United Kingdom, 4 California Institute of Technology, Biology Division, Pasadena, California, United States of America, 5 School of Mathematics and Statistics, Newcastle University, Newcastle upon Tyne, United Kingdom. 6 DSIMB, INSERM, U665, Paris France, 7 Univ Paris Diderot, Sorbonne Paris Site, UMRS 665, Paris France, 8 Institut National de la Transfusion Sanguine, Paris France, 9 Division of Cardiovascular Diseases, Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota, United States of America, 10 National Center for Biological Sciences, TIFR, GKVK Campus, Bangalore, India, 11 NNF Center for Protein Research, Faculty of Health Sciences, University of Copenhagen, Denmark. Introduction. The increasing complexity of research requires scientists to work at the intersection of multiple fields and to face problems for which their formal education has not prepared them. For example, biologists with no or little background in programming are now often using complex scripts to handle the results from their experiments. Vice versa, programmers wishing to enter the world of bioinformatics must know about biochemistry, genetics, and other fields. In this context, communication tools such as mailing lists, web forums, and online communities acquire increasing importance. These tools permit scientists to quickly contact people skilled in a specialized field. A question posed properly to the right online scientific community can help in solving difficult problems, often faster than screening literature or writing to publication authors. The growth of active online scientific communities, such as those listed in Table S1, demonstrates how these tools are becoming an important source of support for an increasing number of researchers. Nevertheless, making proper use of these resources is not easy. Adhering to the social norms of World Wide Web communication, loosely termed netiquette, is both important and non-trivial. In this article, we take inspiration from our experience on internet shared scientific knowledge, and from similar documents such as asking the questions the smart way, 1, and getting answers, 2, to provide guidelines and suggestions on how to use online communities to solve scientific problems. Rule 1. Do not be afraid to ask a question. Some people are afraid of asking a question in public, for fear of appearing ignorant or foolish. Other people worry about their ability to express the question proficiently or with the correct grammar. Actually, asking a question in a public website is a good thing. First, the process of composing a message to explain a problem is itself a great exercise. Second, it is a great way to learn faster and to enter into contact with people from different fields. Third, and more importantly, your career will be difficult if you do not learn how to get help from other people. As Albert Einstein once said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. 3. Asking the right questions should always be a priority in science, and online communities are a good place to practice. Rule 2. State the question clearly. The key to getting a good answer is to ask the question in a clear and concise way. If your question is too long, many people simply will not read it. On the contrary, if your question is too short, people may interpret it incorrectly and give you an erroneous answer. A way to keep your questions short and concise is to systematically break down the problem into smaller parts. This can help you to decide where to seek help and how much to seek. If you feel your problem is composed of multiple questions, then post as many messages as needed. You should start a separate discussion thread for each of the problems you want to solve, avoiding mixing messages about different topics together. On the other hand, you should provide enough details so that people can answer you without having to ask you for additional explanations. Read the message you wrote carefully and think about which details you forgot to include. A reader should be able to answer you just by reading your initial message without having to look at the rest of the discussion or at what other people already have said in response. Some examples of non-concise questions and how to improve them are shown in text S1. Spend as much time as you need in preparing your initial message. This will save time later and will lead you to find the best solution more easily. Many people are surprised to see how some citation, Dalalio GM, Mirino J, Schubert M, Keys KL, Stefan Me, and others. 2011, 10 Simple Rules for Getting Help from Online Scientific Communities. PLoS Compatible 7, 9, E1002202 doi 10.1371/journal.b 1002202 editor, Philip E. Byrne, University of California San Diego, United States of America published. September 29, 2011 Copyright, 2011 Dalalio and others. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, which permits unrestricted use, distribution, and reproduction in any medium, provided the original author and source are credited. Funding, GMD is supported by grants SAF 2007-63171 and BFU 2010-19443, subprogram BMC, awarded by Ministerio de Educación Y54, Spain. The Direcció General de Recerca, Generalitat de Catalunya, Grup de Recerca Consolidat 2009 SGR 1101, to JB. KLK is supported by a 2010-2011 Fulbright Student Research Grant to Spain. LJJ is supported by a donation from the Novo Nordisk Foundation. JM is supported by funding from the University of Zurich. MIS is supported by a long-term fellowship from EMBO. The funders had no role in study design, data collection and analysis, decision to publish, or preparation of the manuscript. Competing interests. The authors have declared that no competing interests exist. Email giovanni.dalalio@upf.edu. PLoS Computational Biology Vertical bar www.pluscompbil.org. The 1st of September 2011 Vertical bar Volume 7 Vertical bar Issue 9 Vertical bar E1002202. Times, in thinking about how to pose the problem, the answer reveals itself. Rule 3. New to a mailing list. Learn the established customs. Before posting, a common error is to rush into a web forum and start asking something without understanding how its web interface works and which people use the resource. Instead, a good habit is to spend a few days after having created an account, reading the discussions published and practicing with the web interface. You will see which people use the forum or mailing list, which rules of netiquette are used, which kind of questions are asked, and how much time it takes to obtain an answer. For this reason, it is a good idea to subscribe to a few mailing lists or forums on your topics of interest, even when you do not urgently require anything from them. This will show you the concrete ways in which people post messages. Remember that you may have to use a different language depending on the audience you are addressing. For example, some technical terms may be understood in one mailing list or community, but not in others. People who do not study genomics might not immediately know how to respond to questions about GWASs, SNPs, or STRs, genome-wide association studies, single nucleotide polymorphisms, and single tandem repeats, respectively. Rule 4. Do not ask what has already been answered. People in general do not like to repeat their explanations. Before posting Xshan, use a search engine to see if a similar question has been asked previously. You should post a new question only if the answers you have found are not satisfactory. In case you decide to post a new question, cite the previous answers and explain why they are not sufficient to solve your problem. This demonstrates that you have already researched the answer on your own. Most discussion forums or mailing lists also have a searchable archive, which should be consulted before posting a question. Rule 5. Always use a good title. People like to quickly skim through titles, looking for questions within their expertise that they are able to answer. So, you will have to be good at catching the attention of the readers. That can help you. Use a clear and concise title so that readers can decide whether they are able to respond to your message without having to read the whole message. An approach to choosing a good title is to think of a hypothetical web search query that you would use to find a solution to your problem. For example, where you might search for format BLAST database, an adequate title for a forum post could be "How do I format a BLAST database?" or "Formatting a BLAST database." More specificity, within reason, is preferable. At the same time, it is important not to waste the time of the people who are not able to help you and are not interested in what you are writing. Refrain from attempts to attract attention with titles such as "Help Me" or "Urgent." People usually do not appreciate these kinds of titles because each forum member must then view the post in order to understand what you are asking. If you use incorrect titles, your message may be censored or closed by the moderators, and you may be forbidden to use the resource. Some examples of good and bad titles are shown in text S1. Rule 6. Do your homework before posting. People in an online community are willing to help, but are not there to work for you. You should always show that you have first tried to solve your problem by yourself. Explain clearly what you have done and describe the approach that you took. When asking for help to solve an assignment, always explain how you have tried to solve it. Many students from bachelor programs use web forums and mailing lists to copy-paste the assignments given by their teachers and call on other people to show them how to solve them. This behavior is not well received and can bring you a bad reputation. However, you can nonetheless ask for help on how to solve an exercise if you demonstrate that you have made some effort in solving it. Show what you have done so far and why you think it is not correct. Ask other people to check your solution, not to give the solution to you. When asking about a programming issue, do not expect other people to write a whole program for you. Rather, post an example of the code that you have written and where you are stuck. Include an example of the input and the expected output of your program. If you receive error messages, also include the full output of the error. This will help the other users to inspect your logic, to test the code on their own computers, and to easily pinpoint the problem therein. If you ask a question about a software package, make sure that the solution is not already answered in the user manual or the frequently asked questions (FAQs) before bringing your question to a forum. Also, declare that you have already checked these sources. If you really need another person to write a program or a task for you, then explain that you are looking for a collaboration and say how you will acknowledge a correct answer. If you explain everything well, your reputation online will also improve. Rule 7. Proofread your post and write in correct English. Using correct grammar is important. Readers will be more likely to answer if the question is clear and correctly posed. Your grammar does not need to be academic, but it must be intelligible to a broad audience. Avoid slang and abbreviations as much as possible to show that you have made at least some effort in writing a clear message. Writing in capital letters or in unconventional styles, such as that of text messages, is usually unwelcome, and in the long term, can deteriorate your reputation online. Your message should be as concise as possible. You do not need to introduce yourself on every message. Doing it only once will be enough. Be careful of using too many adverbs and adjectives, or unnecessary changes in verb tense, as they may make the text difficult to understand. Also, do not be afraid of repeating technical terms more than once, as using too many synonyms will only make the text more difficult to understand. This rule may be the most difficult to follow for non-native English speakers. A good approach is to spend some time reading the messages written by other users of the forum or the mailing list, and follow their example. Search for a question similar to what you want to ask, and use it as a model. You may even copy and paste some portions of the text, if it helps you to formulate a correct question. Rule 8. Be courteous to other forum members. Members of a discussion forum are usually unpaid volunteers who offer their time and expertise by volition, and not by obligation. They are therefore not obliged to answer any questions at all. PLoS Computational Biology www.pluscompbil.org the 2nd of September 2011 Volume 7 Issue 9 E1,002,202 Maintaining civil and polite conversations fosters an environment that encourages people to contribute. You must remember that forums are as human as their users, and you may sometimes receive a perfect answer written in an unfriendly tone. This can happen for various reasons. Perhaps the same question was asked previously, or maybe the author was in a bad mood when writing. For your career, it is crucial that you not permit the discussion to degenerate into an argument. Even if you receive an impolite answer, stay calm and answer as gently as you can. 4. And remember the golden rule. Treat other forum members as you wish to be treated. One of the most impolite behaviors toward an online community is asking a question in multiple places at the same time. Cross-posting, as this practice is called, can make two distinct online communities work through a solution for you when only one is needed. This is an abuse of forum members' time. If you have not received an answer and you believe that asking it in another place would get you one, provide a link back to the original discussion. Similarly, if you receive an answer in a different forum, report the answer to the original forum. Then, the people who helped you will know what the correct solution is, and that you are no longer looking for it. Rule 9. Remember that the archive of your discussion can be useful to other people. Messages in a mailing list or forum remain archived on the internet. In certain situations, this can be a source of trouble. Check the policy of your university or employer regarding posting on the internet. Avoid spreading embargoed information, and if possible, use your academic/corporate email address when registering, to keep your private life separated from your work. Nevertheless, most of the time it is possible to make use of online communities without breaking any of your employer's rules. In these cases, the fact that an archive of the discussion remains publicly accessible is positive, as it becomes a useful resource for people searching for solutions to similar problems. Several knowledge archives are actively saving bioinformatics-related questions from open source projects. For example, questions about bioapparel 5 are kept in the GMANE http news.gmain.org/gmain camp.lang.peril.bio.general and Nabel archives http old.nabel.com/bioapparel-f135 96.html. Since an archive of the discussions remains available on internet, it is good practice to conclude the discussion by indicating the correct solution to the problem exposed, or by summarizing the suggestions received. If some of the answers that you received have proven to be wrong, do not be afraid of writing it in the online discussion. This will help other people avoid trying an erroneous solution. Even if you did not receive any useful answers, sacrifice a bit of your time to thank the people who tried to help you, and to explain that you were not able to find a solution. Rule 10. Give back to the community. Have you found your answer? Great. As time progresses, and you get more experienced in the respective field in which you asked your question, you might want to start contributing the knowledge that you have gained by helping people that are now in your previous position. Most online communities are very welcoming to new members, as they alleviate the work of more experienced ones. Also, as a new contributor, you might be able to see problems from a beginner's point of view. You do not have to contribute to the community by answering questions, as some communities have a wiki-style interface where you can contribute by editing, tagging, or flagging questions. In any case, following at least a few science-related mailing lists and contributing actively to them is a great way to come into contact with researchers working in your field, and over time, can lead you to new collaborations and new opportunities for your career. Supporting information table S1 list of bioinformatics and biology related mailing lists and communities. Doc, text S1 examples of poorly posed questions and how to improve them. Doc,